Hello there. Uh, I'm back with Chapter 8, and we are skipping 8.1. We don't have any homework for 8.1, but if I guess we'll come back to that. She says I'm not going to worry about that because I don't really care. I just want to have an understanding of this, and want you all to have an understanding of it too. So let's start with number 3 and 7. The first two, good place to start. And these problems are very similar, so I'm just going to do them both in the same one. So this is 8.2, numbers 3 and 7. All right, so in number 3, we're given this formula, and we are asked to state the period, we're asked to give the amplitude, and we are asked to get the midline. All right. So with this, what we need to do is we need to use this to find these. So first thing we're going to do is we can find the period right now. So the period is always 2 pi divided by the absolute value of b, right? So b in this case, b is equal to 8, because we're thinking about this just like if we were as if we were graphing functions with transformations. A f of parentheses b parentheses x minus h, close both the parentheses, plus k. So if we think about it like this, there's a 1 right here, cosine parentheses b. b is 8. So b is equal to 8. So 2 pi divided by 8 is equal to pi over 4. So pi over 4 is our period. Next, our amplitude. To find our amplitude, we need to find A. So this is really this is pretty simple. So what we're just going to do is we're just going to divide both sides of this by 2 to isolate y, because you see y isn't isolated. So when we're not going to divide by 2, we're going to think of it as multiplying by 1/2. So we're going to multiply 1/2 by both sides. And parentheses, and we'll see that these cancel out, and we are left with y equals 1/2 cos 8t minus 6 plus 1. So this is our new equation, formula, what have you, and it gives us our amplitude because now we have an A. Amplitude is 1/2. And so now we have to find our midline, which we see this is the only thing that's going to affect our midline, because at first we had to do this and now we do this here. So our midline shifts our graph up 1, so it's going to be oscillating about y equals 1. Alright, and let me check this handy dandy answer sheet just to make sure I am right. Yep. So that, and that are correct. So now we can move on to number 7. So number 7 says let f of x equal sine of 2 pi x and g of x equal cosine of 2 pi x. So state the periods, amplitudes, and midlines of f and g. So I've gone ahead and already written down these formulas, and we need to find an amplitude, period, and a midline. And I am mixing up the order of which I wrote these as above, but you know, it doesn't really matter. I don't particularly care. So we have this. So we're given these, and first thing we note is there are no vertical stretches being done to sine. And so when there are no vertical stretches done to sine, it goes between a range of 1 and -1, just back and forth. And so the distance from the midline is 1. So we know that the amplitude is 1. The period, well, we know that if you're rusty on trigonometry stuff like I am, then I highly recommend writing down this 2 pi divided by the absolute value of b every time you do this, so it just gets engraved in your head, because I know that's what I'm having to do, and that's why I'm doing this, is just so that I'll end up making this connection, and so will you if you're watching this. So, and we know that b is 2 pi x. And if you need to think of it, if you need to do this, you can sine of 2 pi x, and just to show you that this is actually our b value and this is just our x value. So 2 pi is indeed b, so 2 pi divided by 2 pi is equal to 1. So our period is 1. And our midline, well, we're not shifting up and we're not shifting down. So while the period changes, the amplitude and the midline are the same as a natural sine or cosine function, formula or graph or what have you. So the midline is at y equals 0. Alright, that's easy enough. So we have that, that, and that. So let's come down to cosine. The amplitude, well, the amplitude for a cosine function is the same as that as the sine function. You know, we do not have an a value, so we are not being vertically compressed or stretched. So we know that, and yeah, so we do know that the amplitude of this cosine function is 1. Easy enough. Period. Well, we're going to do the same thing as before. Set period equal to 2 pi divided by the absolute value of b. And the same thing here, cosine of 2 pi x. 2 pi is our b value. So 2 pi divided by 2 pi is equal to 1. So our period is 1. And then our midline, we are not shifting up or down any units, nor are we being compressed or stretched vertically. So our midline is the midline of a natural cos function, and it is y equals 0. So let me check the answer sheet and see how this compares. This says both f and g have periods of 1, which they both have. They both have amplitudes of 1. Yes and yes. And they both have midlines at y equals 0. Oh, wow. Look at what I did. Oh, wait a minute. That's a different answer. This is why you shouldn't do two answers at the same time. Ignore what I just did. Yes, okay, I was right. Midline y equals 0, midline y equals 0. Man, I thought I made a mistake there. Okay, well, hopefully that didn't confuse you too much. So these values are correct. All right, so that was 3 and 7. I will see you in the next video.